What's up, everyone? It's Wesley back with you today with Core 4 Sports, and today I have a college basketball rankings video. So let's get right into it. This week was a pretty wild week in college basketball. We had a couple top 10 teams lose a couple of games. We also had a lot of movement for the rest of the AP poll, and this is kind of big as this was the last poll of February and we're going to be heading into March starting next week. So our top 10 has relatively stayed the same. Our top 5 remain unchanged with Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State did lose, but they lost to a really good Michigan team, so that didn't really do any damage in the poll. Then you have, after Ohio State, Illinois to round out your top 5, and then you have Alabama, Oklahoma, Villanova, Iowa, and West Virginia. Let's go Mountaineers to come in at your top 10. My team of the week this week is Florida State. Florida State played a top 10 team in Virginia last week, and they beat them 81-60. And then they had kind of a weird schedule shuffle. They were supposed to play Virginia Tech. That game got bumped because Virginia Tech had a couple of COVID problems. Then they had to travel to Pittsburgh on pretty short notice and beat a pretty solid Pittsburgh squad by 7 on the road. So I think they are deserving of that team of the week title. Then for my bum of the week, as I mentioned earlier, is Virginia. Virginia lost 2 games last week. They got crushed on the road by Florida State and then went on the road to Duke and lost to a Duke team that is really just not that good this year. They're playing 500 basketball. Their best player isn't even playing anymore. He's declaring for the NBA. And so Virginia's going to be my bum of the week as they just really couldn't get anything going in those 2 games offensively. I know in the end of the Duke game, they were kind of struggling to find that one playmaker that could do anything, and they just really couldn't finish down the stretch. So Virginia is my bum of the week. A few quick storylines to close out today's video. Houston dropped 6 spots as they lost to Wichita State this week. Kansas is playing a lot better basketball. I'd argue that they're playing their best basketball of the year. They are still in the Big 12 top 3, and they had 2 good wins last week. They beat Kansas State, and then they beat a top 25 Texas Tech squad. And Kansas is playing good basketball at the right time and could and will be a sleeper, I think, come March. So they are up 6 spots to 17 in the country. Missouri is down 4 spots to 24th. They lost to a Georgia team by 10 earlier this week. Missouri's had a few losses in the last couple of weeks, and they're really going to have to turn it around and make a strong run at the SEC championship and then get momentum going in towards March. And lastly, Tennessee. Tennessee lost to Kentucky, and they got blown out by Kentucky, which is kind of surprising. Kentucky's a really average squad this year, nothing really special going on down there in Lexington, Kentucky, and so Tennessee is now down 6 spots to 25th in the country. Now for my picks of the week, I didn't do too bad last week. I went 2-1. I know a couple games got canceled, including the Texas-Oklahoma game due to the storm in Texas, and then the Virginia Tech-Florida State game, as I mentioned earlier, due to Virginia Tech's COVID problems. But this week I have 6 games for you. It's a pretty big week in college basketball. Last week, the regular season, as of now, for the Big 12, and a lot of conferences are starting to wind down. So here we go. We got Kansas at Texas. I think Kansas is playing their best basketball of the year. Texas is kind of reeling right now, haven't gotten to practice a bunch. They lost to West Virginia on Saturday in a game they should have won. They were up 19. I think Kansas is going to win. They have the momentum. They're playing really good basketball right now, and they're not going to get swept in a season series by Texas. Then you have Alabama at Arkansas. Arkansas is actually playing really good basketball right now. They're up 4 spots in this week's poll, I believe. But Alabama is also a good team. I do think Arkansas will pull off the upset. Arkansas has a little bit to play more. Alabama really hasn't been challenged recently. Arkansas is going to win this game. Next, you have West Virginia and Baylor. This game is a trap game for Baylor, I think. Baylor's playing 3 games in 6 days. So is West Virginia, but it's their final leg of their Texas swing. As a Mountaineer, I'm going to go with the Mountaineers, actually. I think West Virginia has the depth and can beat Baylor. I think Baylor hasn't been able to practice, and COVID will hit them harder than we think. Next, we have Iowa and Michigan, probably the game of the week. I would say Michigan's coming off a really, really big win, high momentum, a lot of emotion, and Iowa's also playing really well. Luka Garza set the Iowa scoring record this past week, and I do think Iowa will pull the upset. Michigan is due to lose, even though they're playing really well. I think Luka Garza is better than Hunter Dickinson, and he will show that come Thursday. Then on Saturday, you have a couple of good games. In the Big 12, you have Baylor at Kansas, which is your game of the day on ESPN at 8 o'clock. I think Baylor's a really good team, so is Kansas. Kansas is hot, but they're not that hot. Baylor's going to beat them on Saturday. Then to close it out, we have Texas at Texas Tech. I don't see Texas losing 3 in a row here, and I think Texas Tech isn't as good as everyone thinks they are, so I'm going to pick Texas over the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, be sure to like down below and subscribe if you want more content. I'm going to be having a couple bracketology videos coming out later this week, so stay tuned as we get towards March. More college basketball content coming in the near future. Thank you for watching, and this is Wesley from Core 4 Sports.